Hi, welcome to my video. Here's a recipe for a kale and avocado salad that I was forced to invent because I had a bunch of kale that was dying in the fridge and I said to myself, don't let that kale go to waste. And if you're not familiar with kale, it's from the same family as broccoli, cauliflower, and collard greens. Plus it's really high in vitamin K, which I'm sure is good for you in some way. You're going to need one bunch of kale, 3/4 of a cup of quinoa of any color. I'm using red quinoa, but just use whatever you have. 1 red onion, somewhat finely chopped. 1/3 of a cup of dried cranberries. An avocado, peeled and sliced any way that you like. 1/4 cup of feta cheese. 1.5 cups of water for preparing the quinoa, plus a little bit more. Salt according to your taste, and some black pepper. Kale has a really tough stem and we're not going to be using it in this recipe. To separate the leaves from the stem, firmly grasp the stem in one hand and push the leaves upward. You'll be left with a beautiful curly ribbon, and that's the part of the kale that we're going to use. As for the quinoa, if you've seen any of my previous recipes with quinoa, you know that it has to be thoroughly washed for 3 minutes. Once you're done doing that, you can transfer it to a pot. Add the 1.5 cups of water, plus a little bit of salt, which is optional, and then start cooking the quinoa. This involves bringing it up to a boil, and then reducing the heat and allowing it to simmer for 15 minutes. Once you've got the quinoa going, it's time to work on the kale. What is going on with the camera? I know I am continuing to have technical difficulties, but I will get to the bottom of this, and thank you for being patient. You may or may not be able to tell that I have added my kale to a wok, sprinkled it with water, and now I'm covering it up and allowing it to steam on a medium-low heat until it is wilted. With 5 minutes left on the quinoa, it's time to add the red onions and stir them in. Then just cover it back up and allow it to finish cooking. Feel free to move the kale around a little bit while it's steaming. Just definitely use tongs to do this because it will be pretty hot. And before you know it, the kale will have wilted and reduced to about 1/3 of the amount that you started out with. Around the 15 or maybe 17-minute mark, the quinoa should have absorbed all the water that it was cooking in. At this point, go ahead and add the dried cranberries and stir them into the quinoa. Now it's time to combine the kale and quinoa, which I needed both hands for, but here's what it looks like. I've laid it out on a platter and then added the sliced avocado on top. Of course, you don't have to layer things the way I do. If you wanted to cut the avocado a little smaller and then just crumble in the feta and toss everything together in a bowl, you could do that because, you know, it's all going to taste the same at the end of the day and it's all going straight into your tummy, so it doesn't matter. I'm also adding a dash of black pepper, plus this optional dressing of olive oil, lemon juice, and Dijon mustard. I've just whisked them together. I think it adds a wonderful kick and it ties all the ingredients together really nicely. And that's all there is to it. This is a great salad for summer. It comes together really quickly and it can feed about 4 to 6 people. Here are some variations. When you make this, feel free to substitute couscous or broken wheat instead of quinoa. If you don't have kale, you can try adding arugula or any other green. But if you're using a tender green, then don't steam it because it'll wilt away. Just enjoy it raw. If you don't have cranberries, try adding any other dried fruit of your choice. And if you're vegan, in place of feta, you can add some of your favorite nuts just sprinkled on top. That's it. For more recipes, check out my blog at www.anilamaharaj.com and subscribe to this channel where I post recipes every Friday. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.